Everybody loves drama, right? This is a quick news video about the fact that Upper Deck Entertainment, the guys or the team, the developer responsible for the creation of things like the Versus system, some old card games that don't really exist anymore and didn't really stand the test of time, they are currently suing Disney, or should I say Ravensburger. Is that the right name? Ravensburger are currently developing Lorcana, Disney's entry into the trading card game market under the developing eye of Ryan Miller, a former employee of Upper Deck who left Upper Deck after doing a bit of work on one of their card games that's coming to then work on Lorcana. They claim that Ryan Miller has taken all of the development and tech and interesting facets of their new game called Rush of Ichor, I don't know. They've took that to Disney and to Ravensburger and used it wholesale to create Lorcana. The facts are that Upper Deck have announced this, and people on Twitter asked them exactly where they filed it. I did find, thanks to Saffron Olive, a document to read through of the lawsuit. But as of time of recording, as of close of business yesterday, Ravensburger had said to multiple news outlets that they haven't actually received notification of being sued or whatever. This is something that Upper Deck have announced and Ravensburger are still waiting to hear about. There will be developments as we go forward, but I thought I would report on this because it's fascinating, because Lorcana is going to be a potential big player in the stage of trading card games, whether it becomes like a Pokemon where it's collected primarily and played secondarily, or whether it becomes a competitor, and I use that term loosely and lightly, to Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Flesh and Blood, the other big card games in the gaming market. The reason I use competitor lightly is because whilst a card game, the core audiences may not cross over. There are super card game nerds like me that will inevitably try, play, and maybe enjoy Lorcana, but there's a lot of people who aren't going to get into the Disney-ified version of Magic. And I mean it when I say that. We've seen the basic rules of Lorcana. It got played at UK Games Expo a couple of weeks ago. It is basically a roundabout version of Magic with like quality of life updates or patches to the resource system where you can play cards face down as influence or ink in your inkwell. And that's what Upper Deck are saying has been taken. They're both the resource system and the win condition from fucking Tales of Ichor or whatever. Because it's a legal document and a legal claim, they go through like painstaking detail on what their card game is. You build a deck from singular cards that are purchased or from Upper Deck or traded for. The deck size is 40. You only pay 3 of any card. You draw 5 cards at the beginning. I'm not going into like laborious detail because it probably gives Upper Deck a bit too much time and energy from someone like myself promoting whatever their new card game plays like. But it's really funny, and I'm going to echo what Seth from Goldfish said on Twitter yesterday. It's really funny to see them list out a lot of stuff that sounds derivative of Magic in a way. Most card games do things similarly to Magic, even your digital ones, because Magic was the first one. Build a deck, draw from the top, draw 1 per turn, progress, build a board state, attack your opponent, or in this case, which I'm coming to in a moment, build yourself up. Either way, these aren't fundamentally different to Magic. I'm looking for, no, it's not there. Soulforge Fusion, that I played a bit of on stream for like a paid activation last year, is actually an interesting game in the sense that there's a board, there are lanes, there are decks that get upgraded as you go. It actually feels like it's trying not just to be Magic, and that's very rare in the trading card game world. And being like Magic is not a bad thing. There's a reason it's lasted, it's persevered, and there are plenty of games that are very similar to Magic but different. Like Pokemon feels fundamentally different, but it uses the same sort of fundamentals, to use the word fundamental twice. It's still good and fun. I'm still enjoying it right now. But the point I'm getting at is it's really weird to talk about a thing where you're taking so many base elements of a game from the game that spawned it all and then suing someone for supposedly stealing your trade secrets or your innovative tech. It stinks of hypocrisy in a way, or just not really understanding how growth and innovation in a space or genre or medium works. This is the bit that really made me laugh though. Unique to Rush of Ichor, the win condition requires players to build themselves up, as opposed to predominant TCG win conditions of annihilating your opponent. As mentioned, Rush of Ichor utilizes a win currency called gems. I'm sorry, don't use gems in the modern climate. It sounds too much like one of those fucking pay-to-win gacha games. Or a secondary currency that serves to obfuscate how much money you're spending on an online client, perhaps. Players win Rush of Ichor by being the first to gain a set number of gems, which depends on the amount of individuals playing on each side. I can fucking bet my bottom dollar that I didn't say it here. I bet that if you're playing in a 1v1 environment, because there is multiplayer in here, of course there is, Commander's popular, right? I bet it's 20 gems. You summon creatures, you go on raids, and you retrieve gems. Sure. In Lorcana, you summon characters, you go on adventures, and you get lore, I think it's called. Again, I think the win condition in Lorcana, without checking, I think it's like 20. The point is, in Magic, you reduce your opponent's life total from 20 to 0. In Lorcana and Rush of Vicor or other derivative, and I use that word not negatively, games, you are not looking to decrease theirs to 20, you're looking to increase yours to 20. If anything, it's moving of goalposts, it's retexturing, it's just reflavoring an existing mechanic to make it feel like you're building up instead of destroying, which isn't dissimilar to saying you don't kill your opponent's characters, you just put them to sleep or you unalive them, whatever family-friendly thing it is that Disney ends up using for Lorcana. Yes, you're building up, but it's all semantics, my friend. It doesn't really matter. You are just trying to go from 0 to 20 or from 20 to 0. You're just reversing it, if anything. Of course, there will be base level changes to how you retrieve or decrease, depending on what game you're playing or where, right? But increasing a number or decreasing a number to win is not some groundbreaking innovation in the card game space. It is just I'm not even going to use the word twist. It is a variation on what we've had before for like 30 years or so. So it's kind of fucking embarrassing reading it, if I'm completely honest. I don't want to completely shut up a deck. I'd love you to pay me some money to do a sponsored segment for one of my videos for your product to show people if you want. But this is kind of silly, right? This is very, very silly. So why do I think they're doing it? Well, I think there's something about a disgruntled employee here. An employee who is left under not favorable circumstances and then are now trying to get at them or to get some sort of recompense because they believe they lost a valuable member of staff, a good game designer perhaps. I don't think it's actually that they stole trade secrets. There's some interesting like contextual examples I can give that like run parallel to this. So for example, when Nintendo or Pokemon Company stopped using Wizards of the Coast to produce Pokemon cards in the Western world, Wizards sued them for both poaching their talent and using their tech. And in that case, it was printer tech and printing technology, stuff that they developed. Nintendo settled out of court for that because it's just what they did. They did poach talent, they did take tech, it's just what they did. The exact number we don't know today, but I did a whole video on that. But I thought that was an interesting comparison in a sense, right? And then that got me thinking about one of Upper Deck's biggest controversies in the past. I'm not going to go into it in massive detail, there are articles you can find there explain it all, but basically back in 2008, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was produced in the West by Upper Deck. And then suddenly this company called Vintage was producing what looked like counterfeit Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. Yu-Gi-Oh! Went to them and tried to, cease and desist, sue or whatever it was. And it turned out the counterfeit cards were being produced and supplied to them by Upper Deck. It turned out Upper Deck had produced approximately 500,000 fake, inverted commas, Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. There's a really fascinating discussion here because the cards are, I assume, I haven't looked super into it, but barring the hologram, they're probably produced and printed by the same technology. So you got this idea of like, they're fake because they're not endorsed by Konami, but for all intents and purposes, they perform just like an actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Card. Fascinating discussion around, is it real, is it not real? It's like that ship. The ship that they take apart as they're rowing. You know the one I mean, the philosophical argument. I actually had to Google it because I couldn't remember. Ship of Theseus. There you go. In 2009, though, after some cases and some counter cases and a lot of fucking stupid, dumb shit between two companies arguing over whether or not one of them made counterfeit versions of someone else's stuff, an Amsterdam Court of Appeals has ruled in favour of Konami Digital Entertainment in 2009. So they've got a history of making fake Konami cards and then losing that license, and now they're filing some court case to claim that having a system where you have to count to 20 is completely unique to their own card game. I don't think this is great. Beyond that, I was wondering why they were doing this. Part of me wondered if it was some sort of like a marketing idea, but the fact that like Tales of Icar or whatever the fuck it's called, I can't remember the name of it at this point, I'm not gonna look it up. Their card game they claim Lorcana is ripped off from hasn't been announced yet and doesn't exist in the popular consciousness nor on the internet yet. It means that what's happening is, I think when I Google it, I just get pictures of Lorcana cards and Disney images from news websites, and it's just not great for creating a footprint for your new card game. Maybe they have a leg to stand on with the poaching of talent or whatever, if that is really the angle they want to go for. But I think claiming that your game is unique enough that the idea of, like I said, counting to 20 has been stolen is absurd. And I can't see this doing well in court. And it can't really be a marketing scam because A, Lorcana was already way bigger than you, so you're now fighting against that giant both in terms of exposure and SEO when your court case is what comes up when you Google your name. But on top of that, counter claims and counter court cases do happen. Like they tried against Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day and failed. But it might be that if they are besmirching the good name of Disney, who have infinite money, more money than fucking God, they might be in for a rough ride if they start doing counter arguments or counter suits. I am not a lawyer nor financial advisor, so I don't know for certain. But it just feels like it's not the bear you want to poke unless you have a good reason to. And this doesn't seem like a good reason to me. Either way, let me know what you think in the comment section below. It's a wild court case, that's for sure, and an interesting tidbit in the history of card games. I've been Vince, also PleasantKenobi on the internet. If you want to buy a singles or sealed product, hit that link in the description below to go to coolstuffinc.com, and I'll see you in the next video. Ta-ta for now.